Things are getting messy for Freddy. Let's talk a little bit about it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I want to be a fighter, like you.
Oh, let it burn! Let it burn!
Did you miss me?
You have to shoot them in the head. They always come back.
The boat can leave now. Tell the crew.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Good luck.
Hey everybody, I'm KillJoy Jake, and as you can tell from my clothing today, I'm making a whole bunch of pasta sauce later. So the Paramount and Warner Bros. Merger has been one of the most stressful ongoing stories for both moviegoers and film industry workers alike. Now, it may even be affecting Freddy fans, who just 2 weeks ago were celebrating and rejoicing over the fact that we're finally getting a new movie. Under a brand new franchise division at Paramount called Primal Pictures, a new Nightmare movie was just announced. J.D. Lifshitz and Rafael Margueles would be producing, with the Craven estate on board after negotiations took place for the domestic rights that they currently hold. No writer-director is currently announced to be helming the Paramount nightmare. The hope here for Paramount was that they were going to acquire Warner Bros. And then gain the international distribution rights that company currently holds for the franchise. That, however, doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. After 12 states have sued Paramount because of the merger, a judge ruled to delay the hearing until June 1st of 2027, which is almost a year later. Not only will this result in over $1 billion in penalty fees from Paramount, but it's going to delay any projects they may want to make with Warner Bros. IP, especially some of the ones that have been previously announced. I'm starting to doubt if the Paramount merger is even going to happen in the first place, considering all of the opposition against it. With that being said though, it is still too early to call. Now the Nightmare situation gets more interesting, because late last night we got a brand new report from Pluck.com that Warner Bros. May also be setting up a new Nightmare film themselves. It was written in Kim Masters' report last night that sources with knowledge of the matter think Paramount figured that by the time their move got underway, the Warner Mount deal would have closed, and Warner's would be compelled to release the Paramount version overseas. But Warner's Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi didn't care for that plan. Now they're looking to make their own movie, which they can only distribute overseas, and are in talks with Lee Cronin to produce, write, and direct. So if these rumors are to be believed, an all-out studio battle for who is gonna get their Nightmare movie out first has just allegedly begun. This is in absolutely no way a good thing for Nightmare on Elm Street fans. While the prospect of Lee Cronin's Nightmare on Elm Street literally sounds so perfect, considering how well he balances camp and horror in the last 2 movies he's made, I'm just not loving the situation that this movie is being born out of. Sadly, this is not an update where it's like, oh, we're getting 2 movies, that's so cool. Oh no, sweetheart, we're fighting now to make sure that only one of these things comes out across the entire world. Warner Bros. Isn't going to just release their Freddy movie overseas, just like how Paramount isn't going to just release its Freddy movie here in the United States. That would ultimately mean that one of these 2 companies is going to miss out on the tons of profits that a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie is definitely going to generate. This is ultimately going to be a race to see who chickens out first, and that's just not a very good thing for the quality of a new Nightmare flick. Now, in Paramount's defense, there is one thing from this Pluck article that's going around right now that has a lot of Freddy fans freaking out, but technically it's not true. According to this Pluck report, Paramount is going to be forced to make a shot-for-shot remake of the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie, as they only have the rights to the original flick's screenplay. There's another major legal case in the space of horror right now that kind of disproves this whole thing. Victor Miller, who owns the rights to his original screenplay for the first Friday the 13th movie, is about to put out the Crystal Lake prequel series based on his original movie. That series follows a younger Pam Voorhees, and they've even shifted the time period from when all of this would have taken place during the events of the original Friday. It's a totally different story that's just based on that original screenplay. This is the exact same situation that Paramount finds itself in with Nightmare on Elm Street. They can basically make their Nightmare on Elm Street flick however they want as long as it's based on the 1984 screenplay. Now, something I do want to note that I saw was pointed out by John Squires of Bloody Disgusting is that in the original screenplay for Nightmare on Elm Street 1984, it was said that Freddy Krueger had a red and yellow sweater and not a red and green one. I doubt that is anything that anyone is actually going to make a big fuss about, but are we going to see Freddy Krueger with some new colors in this upcoming film, depending on who wins this whole battle? I'm not sure, but if I learned anything from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, it's that green is not a creative color after all.
Green is not a creative color.
So in all fairness to Paramount, they don't have to make a shot-by-shot remake. They can do whatever whatever they want with Nightmare on Elm Street, even though nothing has been officially announced in terms of actual plot details, who's doing it, yada yada. Remember how a second ago I said that Warner Bros. Was the horse that I'm putting all my chips on? Well, that metaphor doesn't really make any sense, but I am still betting on Warner Bros. Here, especially considering that they have not disappointed in the field of horror lately. The Bros have put out some of the most exciting horror films in recent memory, with Sinners and Weapons, as well as some killer franchise continuations like Final Destination Bloodlines and the 2 new Evil Dead flicks. Compare that to some of the most recent horror franchise continuations from Paramount like Scary Movie 6, Scream 7, and The Running Man, which were mediocre at best. I didn't hate movies like Hard Eyes or Primate, but I don't think they hold a candle to some of the stuff that Warner Bros. Is putting out right now. Outside of the Smile and Quiet Place movies, Paramount really hasn't been that formidable in the space of horror this entire decade. While both of these projects are immediately at a disadvantage because they're rush jobs, if that Pluck report is to be trusted, I'm still betting on Lee Cronin to put out something really worth your time in terms of a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. I really wish this wasn't the situation that a new Nightmare film was finally sprouting from, but at least we're getting a new movie, right? Outside of the announcement that a new Nightmare movie is on the way, pretty much everything else we've talked about in this video so far is a rumor. Nothing has been officially stated by Warner Bros. Or Paramount outside of the official announcement that yes, a new Nightmare on Elm Street flick is in fact in the works. On the other side of that coin though, there's just so much evidence that this is likely happening. With Paramount getting sued and the merger being disapproved by the majority, it makes sense that they would announce something like this to sway public opinion. Speaking of which, nothing said in this video should be considered as legal advice. I'm just a silly guy with silly opinions. The battle for Freddy may have just begun, and if there's any other updates, your boy will keep you updated. Alright, so this was a pretty disappointing update, so let's try to end it on a happy, optimistic, and fun note. In my last video talking about the initial announcement that Freddy was coming back in a brand new Nightmare on Elm Street flick, I talked a little bit about who should play Freddy Krueger in this upcoming movie. You guys have left me some killer suggestions down in the comments below, but I may have a new number one as to who I would like to be cast in the upcoming flick. Michael Levy, who helped bring the Terrifier films to life as well as directed the 2024 slasher film Stream, is currently campaigning to be the next Freddy. Not only has Levy played Freddy Krueger before in skits like this,
Ever play Skin the Cat?
but he even played a young Robert Englund in the film Fear Clinic from 2014. He really resembles a young Robert Englund and can even do the voice really well. For those of you out there who believe that Robert Englund is the only person who can play Freddy Krueger, Michael Levy might be your best bet. This is a guy who I think is going to give a very similar performance to Robert and absolutely kill it at the same time. After seeing a ton of his movies too, I think Michael knows how to balance the camp and the horror really well. Something that is critical for a new Nightmare film, which in comparison to some of the more high-profile suggestions I've gotten over the years like Kevin Bacon, Richard Brake, Jamie Campbell Bower, all these dudes would be fantastic, but Michael Levy is much more unknown to the public eye than all three of those gentlemen. That puts Michael Levy in a very similar position to when Robert Englund first got cast in that role. Englund had a few minor roles under his belt from the 1970s and early 80s before his big break with Nightmare on Elm Street. Michael has also had a ton of bit parts in other horror movies, like he has a small role in Stream from 2024 and even plays Will the Exterminator, who gets his head fucking sawn off in the first Terrifier. Michael is my new number one choice, and I really hope he gets to play Freddy in at least one of these movies. Before we wrap up today's video, please make sure to like it and subscribe to this page for more updates on the most exciting horror projects. You can also listen to horror updates on Spotify while you're on the go. Also, the best way to support this channel is by becoming a patron over on Patreon. Over there, you can find a ton of bonus content like reactions to various horror TV shows and movies. We're currently watching Dexter and Hannibal with multiple episodes going up there a week. No, what? Check it out by clicking on the link in the description below. One final plug and I'll shut the heck up. Please make sure to also check out my film channel, Human Egg Productions, where we're currently posting horror and comedy short films every Friday. If you like slashers especially, check out the gory short I wrote and directed called Chicken Man. Thank you to everyone who supports all of my pages. So what do you guys think about this Freddy Krueger showdown? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.